Hi, Debbie.
Hi, hello Shireen, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. And you? Hi, Nomsa.
I'm
Hi.
good, thanks.
Hi, Shireen. Hi, Debbie.
Hey, hello Nomsa, how are you?
Very well, thanks.
That's good, that's good. Lekker cold, ne?
Well, I'm not sure there where Nomsa is. Nomsa.
No, it's not cold, I must admit.
Where's
We
Nomsa at?
I'm in New York at the moment, but I'm looking, Debbie, at this picture of yours with this. This is the Golden Gate Bridge. You've got some fabulous looking scene behind you that doesn't look cold at all.
Absolutely, I love that background. It inspires me.
There's Shemaine Matthews. Sorry, I'm wearing other glasses now. I can't see close by.
Oh, you know, I had
Old
mine here
age.
as well.
Okay, let's just give it a couple of minutes and then we'll start.
Hello,
We are
Shireen.
Hello. I'm gonna have to wear my other glasses so that I can see properly.
How many pairs have you got? 2?
Yes, I have a multifocals and then the normal ones.
Oh, okay.
I've just put the link for the live streaming on YouTube on the chat. So if people may have problems with the YouTube, they can click on the with the Zoom. They can click on the YouTube. Just give it a couple of minutes.
How are you, Shemaine? It's good for you to join. We'll just give it a few minutes and we hope more people will sign up.
There's one more person joining. The other problem is this stage 4 load shedding. It's just messing up. It messes up the webinars and oh.
Yeah, load shedding in itself is just painful, man. I told you last week, Shireen, just before that presentation, our electricity was out for 7 hours.
Yeah, now it's becoming a problem. Last time I had to postpone a webinar because of the load shedding.
That's, I had one that conflicted with this one, but it got postponed because of load shedding.
Oh, okay.
So it must be terrible to schedule stuff.
It's a nightmare. Now this work from home and webinar story doesn't work with load shedding. So it's a bit of it's a bit of a problem. Debbie, I think we should start. And then, if people join, they can join as we go. I don't want us for the people who are on time to wait long. So
okay,
let's
Shireen.
continue. Welcome, everybody. My name is Shireen Motara, for those of you who don't know me. And I, with Debbie and Nomsa, I'm not sure the others, we're part of a group called Business Divas that we hold and host to educate ourselves about business, to learn more about how we can start businesses, grow our businesses, make our businesses sustainable. I have my own business, which is a consultancy which does work in the non-profit and development sector, and I'm also a certified coach, and I run a coaching practice where I have quite a few clients. So we decided to host this session because I think a lot of women struggle with understanding what the funding landscape is for business, what funding opportunities exist, where to go for funding information. And also with COVID-19 now, it's just, it's become a challenge to be able to survive. So finding funding may be an option to help. So I invited Debbie Kapuk, who's a business owner as well, but also a business mentor for Business Partners Innovation Hub. And now CEDA, which congratulations, Debbie, for getting through all that bureaucracy, is now a service provider for CEDA as well. So Debbie is deep into the business support for entrepreneurs, and that's why she's here to talk us through information on funding. So I'm going to hand over to Debbie, and she can tell you a little bit more about her and then talk us through some of her thoughts around funding for business.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Shireen. I appreciate it. Thank you also for the opportunity to be able to present. I haven't been able to make some of the other sessions, but we'll be more active. And thanks a lot for all the effort that goes into it, Shireen, and your commitment to this process and the time that you put in. This is just so valuable. I think if I look at other organizations and other similar type of support, a person has to pay a lot of money to get that. And, you've invested a lot of your time, and these sessions are so far, it's been for free. So thank you so much for that sacrifice. It's a big investment in small businesses. And may you just, reap all that you are sowing into this special initiative for women. So, ladies, we'll get started. Sorry, Shireen, I was just looking at my phone as well. I had two people just apologizing that really wanted to make it. There's somebody that has to go. A family member has just passed away today. So she said she can't make it now. So I was just quickly responding there. But we'll get started. And I'll go to the presentation. Can I share my screen from here? Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Try it again, Debbie.
Okay. Beautiful, there we go. Okay. Okay. So ladies, the chat is there. Please do post your comments. If you have comments, if you have questions, post it on the chat. Please feel free to interact. Shireen will support in picking up the comments in case I miss some of it. But please feel free to interact and make sure you learn as much as you can from this session. The session has been put together for your benefit. So let's get started. So the topic today that we're talking about is where and how to get funding. Firstly, I wanted us to just start off a little bit with a little bit of a mantra, how you want to call it. I absolutely love this, this mantra. It's in the reception at Business Partners. And as I was sitting there, and every time I look at this, it just really inspires me. And I'd like us just to take a moment. I'm just going to read it very, very, I'd like us to maybe just all read it ourselves. You don't need to switch on your sound, but just read it and let it sink in and keep this in front of you, because I think it's very, very inspirational. And I think sometimes we need some reference and guidance to just motivate us all the time. Okay, so we'll just read it slowly. It says, I do not choose to be a common woman. I changed it to woman, it was a man. It is my right not to be common if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I want to take the calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I will never cower before any master, nor bend to any threat. It is my heritage to stand, proud and unafraid, to think and act for myself, to enjoy the benefit of my creations, and to face the world boldly and say, this I have done. I am an entrepreneur. Very powerful words. It was written by Thomas Paine, and it just really inspires me, and it tells a story about you as an entrepreneur. I love this line here that says, I will never cower before any master. The word cower means I will not bow down in fear. I will not cringe. And that is so important for us as entrepreneurs, to stand strong no matter what we are facing. And we sometimes face difficult situations, either with customers, with suppliers, but it's important to remember, that we don't need to cringe before any challenge that is in front of us. We need to always stand unafraid, because we are entrepreneurs. So I hope it will have, and it will find a meaning in your hearts, and it will encourage you in days when you may feel a little bit lonely, when you may feel a little bit afraid at challenges or a little bit overwhelmed. Okay, we are proud and we are unafraid. We are entrepreneurs. Okay, thank you. So ladies, for today, our big action, I just want everyone to just think about one action that they can take out of this presentation. I always say to people that for me as a business mentor and as a consultant, my only success is the success of my clients and the people that I work with and the people that I interact with. I can say, hey, you know what? I've given a presentation, Shireen invited me, but that means very little to me. I'm going to be very honest. What will mean a lot to me is for any one of us just to take one action out of this presentation, whatever it may be, and just put it into action, apply it, go do it. Okay, and that's what I'm asking you guys to please do. There's quite a lot of information. Please do not get overwhelmed by it, but just focus on where it's going to go and think about an action. And we will continue to talk about what is it that you can do. It's always important to understand the so what out of everything. And I like this motivational quote that says, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Okay. And I've seen a lot of this happening with a lot of entrepreneurs. And if you have to separate the most successful ones from the ones that are not as successful, it's about, you know, the ability to be action oriented and just to take action on things. All right. So as we go along, just one action, whatever it may be, however small it may be, I would love for you guys to come back in the next month or 3 and say, hey, Shireen, Debbie, this is what I have done. And this is how it's impacting my business. Or I want to do this and I need some advice. We are here for you and we want to see you succeed. So in terms of learning about funding, this is our agenda. So we're going to look at funding options for startups. We're going to look at different types of funders. And there are different funding types as well. And then some of the challenges to obtaining funding. So ladies, the source of all my information is FinFind. Sorry, the D here doesn't belong here. It should be an F, FinFind. So just remember that, very simple, very easy. It's a very, very comprehensive website that has been put together specifically to provide a one-stop shop for people looking for funding. Okay, so literally the information came out of there. When I started working with entrepreneurs, I was Googling and searching and looking and starting to keep my own spreadsheet until I came about this site. Very, very good, very useful. You can even apply online. FinFind, okay? And if you can use it, tell other people about it that are looking for finance. Please pay it forward, okay? So we're gonna go to funding options for startups. Ladies, there's a lot of funding. There is so much, okay? Very, very important. Please do not get overwhelmed by what is being shared tonight. The presentation will be shared with you, but just be aware of all of these sources because sometimes people think, I need funding, they have no idea where to go to, but I want to tell you now there is a lot out there, okay? So we're gonna just go through it in a stepped approach. I've tried to organize it in a way that it's, you know, within bigger categories. So for startups, although it says startups, it could be any business starting from, you know, 1 year from just being registered until about 3 years. Okay, so that's what we mean here with a startup, about that period. So there's some options there. Number one is crowdfunding. I'm not sure if anybody has heard about crowdfunding. There's some government funding. And the government funding I'm touching on here, we're specifically going to look at what are the options available from government funding. There are grants, incentives, etc. So we're going to go through that. And then there's incubators and enterprise development programs. And sometimes these are programs that we're not aware of, but they are very, very supportive to small businesses. And I would encourage all of you to at least also out of this action, identify where you can possibly incubate yourself. So a question for me to you ladies is, who is incubated and who is on an enterprise development program? If you don't mind, you can just comment in the chat box. Okay, so that we can just begin to get a sense of that. And then there's social enterprise funding that's also available. So let's get started on crowdfunding. So what is crowdfunding? Crowdfunding is basically where you try to raise finance from a large number of individual investors. Okay, so basically, literally what the name says, the crowd out there, people out there, interested parties out there, family, friends, fellow colleagues, fellow business owners, they are making up that crowd and you go to them in order to get your funding. So everybody contributes a small amount of money and then all of that money is then yours. So there are formal crowdfunding organizations out there that can support you. There's a whole list of them. So I've listed them and then what I'm doing is I'm just going to look at one of the crowdfunding and just show you what some of the requirements are. But once again, all of the information is available on FinFind. So if you look at all the crowdfunding companies out there. You know, this is a list. And as I said, I've taken this list. Here's all the website addresses. And you can go in and have a look at them and say, hey, okay, which one is going to work for me? And which one do I want to do? There's also a woman fund. If you look right at the bottom of the screen, this woman fund is specifically to fund women, girls, and disabled females with their projects and to get started on their companies. So the one that I chose to just give you a little bit more information on is this one called Jump Starter, okay? So let's just go through and say Jump Starter. So every funding organization generally has an objective that they are funding. You know, so some people will fund specific projects, specific people, specific locations, etc. So that's why it's important for you guys to navigate this website FinFind. It's very easy. Like I said, it's a one-stop shop. You go in there, you click on the link, and then you are able to get the information that you need. Okay, and you guys are free to contact me if you have any challenges with that. So Jump Starter, I just chose Jump Starter, and I've just literally chosen it randomly. So Jump Starter, this is what you will find under Jump Starter, what it is. It's a new way to create projects for individuals, charities, and businesses, okay? And then what Jump Starter does, you go into the website, you literally identify your project and you describe your project, okay? So Jumpstart is focusing on, they would like to support filmmakers, musicians, artists, and designers, okay? And you basically describe what your project is, and you also identify how much money you're looking for from the crowdfunding. Okay, so you can go in and say, I need 50,000 Rand, and this is your project. So your project is sort of like a motivation, a mini pitch, etc., as to what you want to do with the money. And then people then start to log on. The site also allows them to log on, and then they can donate whatever they can afford or however much they want to spend towards your project. Okay, so this is basically what crowdfunding is in a nutshell. I just wanted to give you an example of the detail of the crowdfunding organizations and you know, how they are setting themselves up. So with Jumpstarter, you know, they, as I said earlier on, this is the objective. They want to support people in art, comics, dance, design, etc. So it's in the arts, theater, photography, music. So it's in you know, more the art space. And they also say that, listen, if they aren't able to, say for instance, you have a project and you say, I need 50,000 Rand for this project, right? They say that, listen, it's either an all or nothing. We want to make sure that you get all the money that you have asked for. That's why it's important for you to understand what you need the money for and how much that money is, okay? Because they want to make sure you are able to fulfill the objective that you have set for yourself. Now, some of these, what are the fees for Jumpstart? Obviously for businesses, it's a 7% fee of the funds. For non-profit organizations, there's a 5% of the fund, 5% fee of the funds that they do collect. They collect it through Paygate, etc. So all the detail behind the crowdfunding is provided to you on the website. Okay, so there's secure verification, etc., etc. And this is literally how crowdfunding works. And through them or through yourself, you can then advertise this, put it on Facebook, wherever your friends and your family are, in order for them to be able to make their donation, okay? Then there's also something called international crowdfunding. International crowdfunding, this is a whole list of the funders here. You'll see there's one Minnesota investment. I went into it to just have a look at it. We're not going to go through it just in the interest of time, but it's basically for businesses that are based in Minnesota, etc. So the big takeaway out of crowdfunding is it's free generally for you as an individual. The crowd will source it. The amounts are not that big. What I've seen, it doesn't exceed about $50,000, etc. If you need bigger funding, then you obviously look at other different places that can fund your business. So this is crowdfunding. It is an option for you if you need something, you know, up to 50 to 100,000. But have a look at each of the categories and see whether it meets your needs. Okay. Now we're going to move on to government funding. If you guys have any questions on crowdfunding, please do just post on the chat. So we're going to move over to government funding. And the government funding that I'm talking about here is predominantly free money, okay? So, and that's the best thing to have, is to have free money. I did my MBA through Bond University, which is in Australia. And the reason I chose them is they had a very, very strong entrepreneurial focus. And one of the core rules that, you know, they taught us was OPR, other people's resources. For every business owner, OPR is the most important thing. And I think for us as ladies, we need to always bear that in mind and, you know that we can use other people's resources opposed to mortgaging your own house or, you know, putting yourself under a lot of pressure. All right. So OPR, ladies, remember that one. So government funding. This is the types of government funding that we have. Grants is a big one. It's an important one. And this is something that I realize that not many people know about. Okay, so we're going to look at the grants. We're going to look at cost sharing grants. It's similar to the grants. Grants are given to you for free. So it's mala money. It's a proper OPR. You just need to meet certain requirements. Cost sharing grants is literally, you know, where government will help you cover the cost of certain things. You know, so say for instance, you want to buy equipment, you're in the cleaning business, you want to buy equipment, etc. It's costing you 100,000. And then say government, you apply for a cost sharing grant and, you know, they will decide, listen, let's go 50-50. So we'll look at what are the requirements there. Incentives is, you know, what you, similar to a grant, but it's being paid after the effect, okay? And then there's some tax incentives. We're going to look at a little bit of what is equity funding as well. Okay. Once again, if there are any questions, just put it down in the chat box. But let's get started on government funding. Let's have a look at grants. As I said before, grants is free. It's free money. Okay. So it's not repayable. It's not a loan. It's money that you get if you do meet the criteria. It's usually 100% funded. So you could possibly get all the funding if you apply for the right grant. It's a once-off opportunities and it's for specific developmental opportunities. So there are specific grants in specific areas. Now, ladies, what is important with this as well to note is number one, your own business, you know, where do you fit in? Is there a grant that you could possibly qualify for? And then secondly, is also, you know, give it to friends and families and people that you know that want to start their own business. You know, if you have this kind of a support, it can really kickstart your business. So this is the list of government grants. Like I said, there's a full list. There are so many of them, and there's a lot of detail in there. And every grant has got specific requirements. So if you look at the list of government grants, you know, I'm not going to go through every single one of them. But if there's one that you would like me to stop on and have a look at, please just, you know, raise your hand or highlight it to me, and we can most definitely do that. All right. But we're going to go through. So there's, you know, there are grants from the IDC Youth Pipeline. There's a tourism transformation fund for people in the tourism industry. There's a specific one, you know, from the Development Bank of South Africa, but this is the full list of where they are. Some of it is specific to a region that government would like to develop, you know, within a specific province. Some of them will be for a specific service. Like you will see that there's a lot of incentives in tourism, in youth development, agriculture, forestry, fisheries. Okay, so so let's go to the next list. there's a lot of business opportunities in KZN, okay, in terms of grant. All of these are within KZN Department of Economic Development, Tourism, and Environmental. So I've just taken, once again, just a snapshot out of FinFind to show you guys that these are the list. If you know of any people that live in KZN or is from that region, let them know about these opportunities, okay? And let them go and have a look at what the criteria is and whether they meet that kind of criteria. So all of this, even on the next page now, these are grants, okay? So the one grant that I decided to look at is this one here at the bottom for us. And for the purposes of this, it's the National Youth Development Agency grant. Like I said, the way I did this is a full list. We can't go through every single thing in the interest of time, but do yourself a favor and continue to work through this so that you know for your own business what kind of funding there is available, okay? So for example, now we're going to look at National Youth Development Agency. So the NYDA, I'm not sure if any of you have dealt with the Youth Development Agency, but you know, they're looking at youth development, entrepreneurial development. You all know we have a big challenge with youth unemployment in South Africa. And one of the ways that government wants to deal with this is through entrepreneurship. And that's why there are so many grants and support, etc. So the NYDA, this is a description of what the grants is for. It provides grant in the form of microfinance for youth entrepreneurs and cooperative grants for greater participation of youth in the cooperative sector, okay? The objective is to support young entrepreneurs with an opportunity to access financial and non-financial business development support. The grant, the amount is from 1,000 Rand to a maximum of 200,000 Rand, okay? So there are specific requirements or specific conditions that they normally highlight. So they say that young people that are interested in the grant will commit to participating in the NYDA mentorship and voucher program for a minimum of 2 years. Now, this is all very, very beneficial, ladies. As Shireen mentioned earlier on, I'm a mentor with a few organizations. So, you know, being a mentor, we provide our services. So you as an entrepreneur don't pay for any of the services. The organization that you are affiliated to pay for these services, but you get qualified mentors that can guide you and support your business all for free. So whenever you see mentorship and you know it's for free, just grab it with both hands, okay? So these are the conditions for the grant. And then these are the type of businesses that they will assist through the grant program, okay? So it's motor mechanics, electricians, plumbers, domestic appliance repair services, beauticians, hairdressers. So you guys, if you know people in the hairdressing business, you know, give them the information, pass the information along. Small scale recycling companies, street vendors, car washes, okay? Now we look quickly at our eligibility criteria. Okay, so sorry for some of us, I'm not sure who's still under 35, but it's for South African citizens. You must be under the age of 35. You must be previously disadvantaged. You must be a startup or an emerging entrepreneur. Your business must not be profitable as yet, which is fantastic. I mean, this will really help you and it gives you a good kickstart. And we talked about you have to commit to the mentorship and voucher program. And the main applicant must be involved in the day-to-day operations of the business. So which means you must be full-time in the business. And I think that is very important. If you look at some of these criteria, you'll find that it is called out in most organizations, right? So a lot of grants, even loan applications, they want people that are working. They don't want your business to be a part-time gig where you only operate on it, you know, on a temporary process. And then there's a full application process that you need to go through. And once again, if you go into FinFind, they'll take you directly to the site. They'll take you to the application forms, etc. They also even have all of the contact information. All right. So this is one example of a grant and what they offer. Here they tell you also what information you need to provide. And I think this is another area where entrepreneurs always get a little bit stuck. in terms of not being sure. And sometimes it's not even getting stuck in terms of submitting the documentation. It's just the thought of, having to submit all of this. But I want you guys to just unblock all of this. Nothing is impossible. These are information that is there. And if it's not there, you can definitely get it. And have a look at the requirements. When I take you later on, I've got an example there of the NEF requirements. You'll see it's pretty much the same across everything, okay? So what they require here for a grant, let me just say that for a grant, they normally require the same kind of documentation they would for a loan, okay? So your application process is still the same, right? So just because it's a grant doesn't mean you don't need to, submit any detailed information. It's the exact same information that you need to submit in the event that you had to apply for a loan. So what is important is to make sure that, you keep your house in order. So what they want for this grant, they want your company registration documents. So once you've registered your company, it's normally the COR 14.3. It's a registration certificate. On that certificate, it will show who is the directors, what are their ID numbers, the date the business was registered, your tax reference number. It has all of that information on your company registration document, okay? Tax clearance certificate, very important document, ladies. Keep your house in order. Make sure your tax clearance is up to date so that it allows you to take advantage of all the opportunities. Certified copies of the owner's IDs, okay? This one, make sure that you are very comfortable to go to the police station anytime to certify your ID, because this is a requirement everywhere all the time. They ask for management accounts. Management account is literally just your income statement and your balance sheet, but current. So say, for instance, your financial year ends on February, then your management accounts will be from March until now the end of August. Okay, so that is what management accounts is. Sometimes we get a little bit confused in terms of what the requirements are. But one thing I want you ladies to tell yourself all the time, okay, you are unafraid. Remember what we read earlier on as an entrepreneur? Don't get stressed by anything, okay? You need to seize the opportunity, and all these things is doable. They need a proof of business address. We all know that. It's FICA requirements, a statement with your physical address on. They want annual financial statements. Make sure you keep your stuff in order. We'll check later. Do you guys have bookkeepers? Do you have an accountant, etc.? They want 12 months budgeting. They want a statements of assets and liabilities for all owners. Okay, this is general requirement. And that is just, to see what, there is a template as well that shows what that is. And for all the ladies on the chat, if you need any of this information, give me a tinkle. I can give you the templates and, support you with that. And then they need a business plan. If you look at these requirements, ladies, this is generally what everybody is asking for all the time, okay? So I would encourage you all to start looking at this, embrace it. Don't see it as a massive challenge. Don't see it as a headache. Don't feel overwhelmed by it, but just keep it ready. You get your bank statements every month from the bank. File them, get a folder on your laptop or on your phone and save them all, okay? We'll talk at another stage about what are some of the things that the financiers are looking for. Why do they want your bank statements, okay? They don't want to see funny transactions. They want to see what is the money coming in, coming out. That's why it's important to separate your expenses, right? Business expenses go through the business account, personal expenses through your personal account. You as a business owner, you fund your business. So what you do is you deposit money into your bank account, and then you can incur all your expenses through that. All right. So when you show your bank statements, they are able to see what kind of transactions is happening, what is really happening in this business. So if you, for example, get all your income and people are paying you and it goes into your personal account, it will look like you're not making any money. It will look like, things are not working out. Okay. So in terms of financial management, it's a session that we can do at another stage, but very, very important, ladies, bear this in mind, okay? Because there's a reason why they're asking for all of these documentation. And I'm not going to go into the same detail with all of them, but I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of, if they want bank statements, they're obviously going to scrutinize it, look at it, and draw some conclusions, okay? Because sometimes you can say, listen, this is my turnover, but when people look at your bank statements, there's very little happening there. And that obviously provides concern to people giving you funding, okay? Business plan, very detailed, you know, we can talk about that as well at another stage. We're going on with the list of government grants. There's a lot. There is a lot, right? I don't know if anybody is aware of any of these grants. Like I said before, this is mahala money. It's free money, okay? I'd like you guys to please have a look at this, okay? And say, hey, you know what? I qualify for this. Even if you go to Mzansi Golden Economy, you know, just have a look on FinFind, okay? Do yourself a favor. See if there's money that is lying and waiting for you, all right? I love that saying in the Bible that says, you know, there's money with your name on it. The grant is something like that. It's lying there, it's waiting for you. Ladies, do not lose this opportunity. Go get it, okay? This is one of my favorite quotes from Winston Churchill. He says, he who fails to plan is planning to fail, okay? Planning is sometimes a tedious task, and many entrepreneurs don't really want to do it. They feel they're small, they must just sell, etc. But if you do not plan yourself properly, you are going to fail in the longer run. So plan yourself, organize yourself so that you can succeed. It is very, very, very possible. I'm working with many entrepreneurs, and the most successful of them are the ones that are action-oriented and that are willing to plan. Yourself, you organize yourself. Don't just fall into your day, okay? Make sure you plan your business and you take time to plan, okay? We've got lots of support. If you want a planning session, if you want to know what to look for, etc., just give me a tinkle or speak to Shireen. We can put you guys in touch with the right people. We're going next to further types of government funding. The next one we're talking about is cost sharing grants. Okay. So a cost sharing grant, this is where government will finance a portion of the cost of your project. So it's similar to the grant, it's just there's a portion to it. Some they fund 100%, you know, so but the range is between 35 to 100%, right? And it helps. So you have a project, you need 100,000 Rand. And, you know, let's just say they are able to fund you 65%. It's still a lot of money and it's for free. Okay. So where they don't fund 100%, they ask you as the entrepreneur to make up the balance. So that's why it's called a cost sharing grant. Okay. So here, once again, ladies, money has got your name on it. I want you to say that after me. This money has got my name on it and it is waiting for me, okay? So the money is lying there. Make sure you understand what the requirements are. Here is a long list of them, okay? Black Business Supplier Development Program. So for Black business owners, lots and lots and lots of funding available. Okay, go into this program, have a look at it, see what the requirements are. And here it is actually, because this one drew my attention as well, number 2. So I've pulled out the detail of it. And for small business funding for Black business supplier development, this is basically to support Black businesses in the companies. And the cost sharing is basically focusing on assisting them to improve their competitiveness, okay? And it's just once in a lifetime. So you get this money like now, and the money is available there. And here they're talking about there are 2 options. Firstly, cost sharing grant for tools, machinery, and equipment. There's a 50-50 cost sharing up to a maximum of 800,000 Rand, okay? So once again, the website has got all the details. If they say tools, machinery, and equipment, let's make sure we understand what type of business they're talking about. Is this more like a manufacturing? And I think some of it is like that, okay? And then a cost sharing for business services. Okay, there's a 80-20 cost sharing up to a maximum of 200,000 Rand, okay? Once again, it's money that's lying out there. And obviously, every funding and grant has got criteria. So firstly, the eligibility criteria specifically for this is the business must comply with the following. So let's get started. 51% Black majority shareholding. So for those of you that are in a business or that's thinking of starting a business, remember this important factor. Okay, you must understand what requirements are so that when you structure your business, you know how to structure it. You must have a turnover of between 250,000 to 35 million Rand per year. Turnover is your sales, it's the fees, it's how much money you're getting in. So you must be in operation for 1 financial year and trading as a business. So these are the requirements, okay? 51% of management positions held by Black people. Black people we know is African, colored, and Indian. And that is the definition in terms of the Triple BEE Act, okay? The business must be formally registered for VAT. The business are eligible to obtain funding for a maximum of 1 million Rand. And then here is the funding that they're giving, which is the same as up there. So 800,000 Rand for tools, 200,000 Rand for business development and training interventions, etc. And business must have been operating for at least 1 financial year at the sole discretion of the Department of Small Business Development. All right. So once again, ladies, all of these, if you see you meet like 95% of the criteria, let's ask the questions or contact the people and say, hey, you know what? There's just one thing. I'm not registered for VAT. Let's take that, for example. Contact them, talk to them, and understand what can be done. All right. There's always some kind of a way that you can still position it. So to be registered for VAT, it just literally means that your turnover, you need to be able to sell for at least 1 million Rand. Okay. Then you must, it's compulsory then to register for VAT. Or you can register voluntary for VAT if you sell more than 50,000 Rand, if your revenue is more than 50,000 Rand. So bear that in mind and know what the requirements are to get you there. All right. And once again, it's important. I would recommend for most of you to get yourselves a business mentor that can help empower you with this kind of knowledge.
Hi, Debbie. Sorry, I don't, just to interrupt there for a moment. It's 10 to 8. Yes. So just wanted to give you a time check in terms of our time.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Shireen. Yeah, it is quite a lot. So I'll move a little bit faster. I'm not going to spend too much detail on the others. If there are questions, please just post it and Shireen will help in terms of calling that out. Once again, it shows what the application process is. We talked earlier about what documents need to be submitted. Once again, same old, okay? Bank statements, business plan, forecast, tax clearance, financial statements, okay? So same documentation that we discussed earlier on that must be submitted. For these, here's a whole lot more, KZN. Here's another whole full list of organizations that will give you proper cost sharing grants. There's a lot of free funding available in film as well, job creation opportunities, and so on. Okay. Now we're going to get to an area called incentives. Incentives, you'll see it gets, the available funding agencies are fewer under government. So let's have a quick look at incentives. So your incentives is pretty much like a grant, but you don't have to repay the money. The only difference is an incentive is paid after the event has occurred. So once you have done whatever the requirements are, then you get the money after that, and you claim back the money that you have spent. Once again, here's a full list of the type of incentives that are available. And as I said, You guys will get the slides, but it's also on FunFind. So make sure you go and you have a look at that. There's the tourism incentive, etc. So lots and lots of incentives that are available. Television and film. Once again, tourism grading. If you need to get grading for your establishment, there's full support there. Okay. And then we get to the next one, which is around tax incentives. Okay, this one we're just going to literally glance over, because tax incentives, have a conversation with your accountant, and it will just depend on the type of business that you are in. But there are two very specific ones that they allowing there. So this is like where you get the money back through tax, or SARS does, you don't have to pay tax. And these are the two funds that are currently available. You know, there's the R&D allowance, and then there's a tax allowance incentive, 121 TAI. And that's more for manufacturing type of businesses. Okay, so there are very specific requirements, but this is just to show you that there are stuff available, but make sure it is in line with your type of business. Okay, and then just a quick little motivation chat. Again, rise up, start fresh, see the bright opportunity in each new day. Okay, so each new day is an opportunity for us, you know, to grab. Let us not procrastinate. Let us see the new day and take it as a new opportunity. The last one that we're going to do is equity funding, what they call equity funding. This is where government buys a part of your business. Okay. If you look at business partners as well, our business partners also provides funding. They also get a portion of your business in certain instances. And this literally just means that you have registered your business, so they will agree what percentage of the funding they will get, what percentage of the equity in your business they will take. So they can, there's a process for assessment of that, and they take a portion of that. Those of you that have watched Shark Tank, Dragon's Den, all of that, those are type of equity funding, you know, where the dragons are sitting there and say, hey, you know what? I will give you this amount of money, but then I want 30% in your business. Okay. So the investor will receive a share of the profits and a lump sum when they exit. So they normally just take a portion of your business for a certain period of time, for the amount of time until you pay them back the loan, or depending on how the agreement is reached. Once again, here's a full list of equity funding that is available. Under the NEF, there's the Strategic Projects Fund. There's a full list of them. Public Investment Corporation, there's a Small Medium Enterprises Fund there. Okay, so you guys can go and have a look at all of these and see where is your money. All right. Once again, a lot. There's SMMEs and cooperatives. This is for Mpumalanga specifically. IDC has got specific for clothing and textiles. For those of you that are like in t-shirt manufacturing, clothing manufacturing, there's some money there. Okay, have a look at this. Just know where the money is. I would actually recommend that you take your time and just list all of them that is applicable to your business so that you can know where to go to. Big list, right? Big list. IDC has got some money in tourism. The NEF has got a women empowerment, lots of money available. Entrepreneurship finance, NEF, lots of funding available. Okay, so we're taking quickly the NEF, the Imbewu Fund for Entrepreneurship Finance. You know, the fund, what does it want to achieve? So the fund will focus on people that want to start a new business, you want to expand an existing business, and the funding ranges from 250,000 Rand to a maximum of 15 million Rand. Requirements, here's all the requirements. 50%, more than 50% must be Black owned. You must be involved in the day-to-day. You must have the skills and experience to manage the business, etc., etc. Basic requirements for funding. And these are eligibility criteria, okay? Have a look at it, see where you fit in, okay? Once again, your application process, the NEF has got an application template and a letter. We'll go through that later on when we look at some of the other funds. Once again, documentation that you need to provide, same old, right? You guys remember the first one that I showed you? Everybody wants this. So get your mind and your head around it, get your stuff together, get your house in order, and just make sure that you are ready to apply for finance. Okay. Now we're going to look at funding options for startups. I'm going to just pick up the pace a little bit, guys. And just stop me if there are any other questions that you may have. But once again, we'll share the presentation with you all. We're going to look at incubators and enterprise development programs. And these are specifically for SMMEs, and it provides them with resources and services. It's both financial and non-financial. Now, it also provides you like with free or low-cost workspace, mentorship, expertise, access to investors, funding opportunities. So if you guys were to take one action, remember I asked you all at the beginning of the presentation, please just identify one action, one thing that you think you can do. Identify where you can go and incubate yourself. People, the benefits are immense for your business. If you're serious about your business, go and incubate yourself, okay? Here's a full list of incubators that is available. It's not a full list, wrong wording. It is a list, all right? Here are examples of some of the incubators. So as you can see, there's a lot of them. Cecil has got some incubators. MTN has got incubators. Yeseda, okay? There's Riversense Incubation Hub. I don't know if you guys have been at any of these hubs. I've been to Riverside. I've dealt with MTN, dealt with SEDA. I'm a business mentor. I'm appointed at Maxim Business Incubators. Here it is. The support that we provide to the entrepreneurs and what the actual incubator provide is fantastic. You know, you can't help but grow. You don't have to do this by yourself. So there's a whole list. Once again, there's Black Umbrellas. Shireen was a mentor at Black Umbrellas. But these are just incubators. There are mentors there. But please, guys, take advantage of these opportunities. Okay, there are lots of opportunities out there. So go and register yourself, become a company, an incubator. They will support you. They will grow you. You know, and once you've reached a certain level, you know, you're sort of like fine. It's like a baby learning to walk. And then when you learn to walk, they let go of your hand and then you go on, okay? But at least you are over the most difficult hurdles. We're going to go to social enterprise funding. These are also just for your NGOs, your NPOs, etc., and environmental projects. Once again, there's a whole host of them. Have a look at them if you are in this space, okay? But money is available. Your name is on it. It's out there. Please go get it. Now, just an encouraging message again. You don't have to see the whole staircase just to take the first step. You don't need to see right at the end, ladies, but please just take the first step. When you take the first step, you'll get there, you know, and the way to do it is one step at a time. We're going to quickly look at different types of funders. Okay, there are different people that can fund you. And this is also important to remember, you know, because sometimes we don't know where exactly to look. So we're going to start off people that can fund you, friends and family. You know, have a look at FundFind, but make sure there's some clarity. Make sure there is, you know, honoring of commitments, etc. But friends and family can also invest in your business. Look at banks. We all know the banks are there. There's government. We're going to go through the detail of government funding because I think that's where a bulk of the funding is available. There's some niche SMME, you know, funders out there, some angel investors. If you do exporting, there are some people that can fund you for export, import lenders, okay? These are now, when we say funders, these are loans, okay? So the first section of the presentation dealt with free money, mahala money, okay? These are now loans that you can apply for. Then we have other funders as well. We have personal lenders, debtors, supplier financiers. I've added business partners here. They're a big organization. I'm working with them. They're fully supporting small businesses, SMMEs, and they provide funding as well. Okay, and they had lots of success stories. So if we go to, I'm just doing a quick example of government funding. We have the NEF, which is the National Empowerment Fund. I'm going to cover a little bit of that. We have the IDC, the development corporation, independent development corporation. We have SEFA. SEFA is Small Enterprise Financing Association. So these are just 3 examples that I've put down here, but these are the bigger ones, the most important ones that I think that will impact your business. Okay. So let's just go. So as you can see, your SEFA is for smaller financing from 50,000 to 5 million. Okay. And then the ranges will depend on the loan. So if we go to NEF, these are all the funds that NEF has. As you can see, there is a lot. So money is available, right? There's a Women Empowerment Fund, Imbewu Fund that deals with entrepreneurship, procurement, franchise. A franchise, if you want to buy a Debonair's, if you want to buy a Nando's, those are the kind of franchises that there is. And this is the type of funding that is available. So lots of funding for everything. Tourism Transformation Fund, big focus on tourism. So there is lots of money available for tourism as well, ladies, in the NEF. If that's your business, go after it. I don't know if Yvonne is still on the group, but you guys that know Yvonne and Keisha, we are now applying. We're happy to report that the application is sitting with the executive committee of the NEF for Tourism Transformation Fund, okay? So these things can be done, ladies. Don't put any limitations on yourself. There's a rural fund, strategic projects, arts and culture, and then there's the Umnoto Fund, lots of funding available, okay? Go and see what suits your needs and where your business can get funding. Now, I've chosen the Women Empowerment Fund under the NEF just as a deep dive and to show you guys what there is. So the NEF, provide funding to Black-owned women businesses. Black-owned, we said earlier on, African, colored, and Indian. And their funding ranges from 250,000 Rand to 75 million Rand across a range of sectors. So they're not specifying that you need to be in IT or tourism or anything else. It says across a full range of sectors. And if you go into the NEF fund, you'll see they fund people everywhere. Your business case must just stand to show where you want to go into business, or show where you are currently in business, what your opportunities are. It's for startups, newly funded businesses. It's a startup. It's if you want to grow your business, you want to expand, and equity acquisition purposes. So you want to now buy another business, and that is very possible. All right. So the Women Empowerment uses a range of funding instruments, from secure debt to unsecured options to a hybrid of the two. Okay, so this is all the specific detail that you can get into once you want to apply for a loan. And then once again, funding, the pricing, it depends on the type of risk. And when we say the type of risk, it will depend on the amount, your ability to repay the loan, the type of business that you're in. Is it new? Is it established, etc.? All of that will determine what the risk is, okay? Funding requirements, okay? This is what they require in order to give you funding. You must be minimum 51% Black female owned, okay? You must be, Black woman must be involved at board level, managerial level, commercial viability of the business case, okay? So your business must be able to make money, all right? So that's what it means, commercial viability. You must comply with relevant laws and regulations, SARS, be registered with SARS, have your bank account, etc., etc. You must have the ability to repay with, and we normally do a loan amortization schedule. The loan amortization is a very easy, I've actually got a tool there. If you borrow 2 million Rand over this period at this interest rate, what is your monthly installments and will you be able to afford it? So when I do business plans, those are the things that I do. I do provide the clients with a loan amortization calculator as well. Your project must create jobs. They look at the geographic location, etc. Okay, so where you are located, and those are important things to bring out in your application. Okay, I want us to just quickly have a look. Not quickly, I'm almost there. I think this is, at the back of the presentation, so we don't have that much. But I want us to just go into an NEF application form and just have a look at that so that I can show you guys what those forms look like. It's very, very simple. It's very doable to just apply. Okay, so this is an NEF application form. And its ranges is for funding.
We're not seeing the form.
Is it? Sorry, Shireen. Because I had it as a hyperlink. Okay, let me just see.
Yeah, I think you'll have to stop sharing and then share the form.
Okay. Let me just stop share. And then let me just go back and get the form. Okay, I'm quickly going to get the form. So just 1 second. Shireen, can you see it now? Shireen, you'll just help me and let me know if you can see.
No, then you'll have to share screen again and then click on the form.
Okay. Okay, let me go back. Okay, sorry, ladies, just 1 second. But I wanted to just show you guys so that we can just get out of, you know, sometimes allow editing, not email, because I'm now in sharing, but I'm in the wrong sharing one.
Okay, maybe we can come back to it then because we just have 20 minutes left. And we still want to take
we're almost
questions.
done. Yeah, so we're almost done. But we'll just have a look at, and see if we can come back to that one. Okay. So I'll just get back into the presentation. Okay, can you guys see that one now? Shireen, help me. NEF application form, can you guys see it? Any luck?
Yes, we can
we're
see.
Seeing it.
Yes.
Okay, great stuff. So ladies, this won't take long. I just wanted to squeeze through the NEF application, but just remember what we discussed earlier on the conditions and eligibility criteria, etc. Same thing, okay? Don't get flustered by detail, okay? So this is an NEF application form, and this is for all their funding. Remember I showed you guys how many they have earlier on? Applicant details, very simplistic, specific stuff. Business details, details of your business, you have all of that, right? And once again, we'll share this with you guys as well. It's also available on the NEF fund. Your shareholders, this is your information. You just literally fill it in as they ask for it. All right, nothing difficult, nothing challenging here, right? You guys can do all of this, right? Okay, here on this side here, you can see current registrations. Are you registered for VAT, RSC levies, UIF, PAY, income tax? Yes, no, whatever the answers are. Nothing to be intimidated about. Very, very simplistic, okay? Your purpose of finance and funding, this is where you may need your accountant or your bookkeeper just to help you to break it down and to categorize it properly, okay? There's asset acquisition, working capital, etc. Very simplistic stuff. It can be done very easily, all right? And that's it. So that's the actual application. Here's the names. Are you BE or non-BE? You just stick there. All right. Very, very nice document and information checklist. As you can see here, if you are a startup, you see where the asterisks are? That's what you have to submit if you are a startup. All right. If you are an existing business, you've been operating for more than 1 year, or at least 2 years where you have financials to show it, this is what you need to submit. All right, very easy. And you need to have good planning skills just to tick, say, hey, I've got an application form and a business plan. I've got the affidavit of the members, you know, etc., etc. Here we go, okay? So you just literally tick, and that's how we do it, right? So if Yvonne and Keisha is still here, and some of my other clients, we've done this before. Very nice, very easy. We just stick. We actually take this list and we allocate duties to everybody. We know who's supposed to do what and by when. Bob's your uncle, we submit. All right, ladies, do not get intimidated. Funding is there. It is available for you. You can get it. Very simple. Proof of address, we talked about it, your detailed CV. These are similar documentation that everybody else has been asking. Okay, and that's it. And this gives you an overview of what they want to see in your business plan. Okay, and this is how we do the business plan. But this is a discussion we can do for a later stage when we do discussions around business plan. Okay, very, very doable. All right, here's your financial projections. But if you do have your income statement in your business plan, then this is really not necessary to do. If you do have your balance sheet in your business plan, you don't need to submit this. Cash flow is part of that. And that's your form for the NEF. For all of that funding that I showed earlier on, this is the form that you fill in and that you submit with the documents. All right, are we all good? So if there are any questions, you guys can then just ask, but we'll carry on. We're almost there, ladies. Only a few more slides. We want to take some questions as well. So let me just share my slide again. And can you guys see the slideshow again?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So we'll just wrap it up. Last few things. We've done the form. We've done the NEF form. This is on the IDC. This is, once again, ladies, lots and lots of money is available. Clothing and textiles, etc. This is I just took this screenshot to show you what is available under IDC. Media and audio visuals, if you are interested in that kind of business, there it is. Tourism, once again, it's there. New industries, obviously government wants to support innovation, etc. Lots and lots of funding is available. This is all from the IDC, okay? I just took a screenshot. I'm not gonna go into detail, but this is what is available. The funding types, lots of funding types, they available again. Certain people only give money for specific things. Asset finance, bootstrapping just literally means you funding your whatever you require out of your business. We went through equity finance, there's import finance, invoicing finance, mortgage loan overdrafts, export funding. Term loans is something that we did not touch on, but if you guys are interested, SEFA provides a lot of term loans, but their conditions are very clearly called out on their website, or go into FinFind and they have the link back to SEFA. All right, have a look at that. And then just quickly, just challenges to funding. We talked earlier about make sure your house is in order. Okay, do not procrastinate, ladies. We all have a tendency sometimes to procrastinate. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Okay, make things happen. Invest your time. As you invest your time, you will reap the rewards. Compliance, it's important. Keep your stuff up to date. Make sure your CIPC, your tax clearance, etc. And then we know the other things is bad credit record, etc. If you don't have collateral, but there are ways to overcome that. There are organizations that can provide support and that can stand surety for you, etc. So whatever challenge you have, it can definitely be overcome. But through discipline, diligence, we are able to get that. Okay. So thank you very much. That's the end of the presentation. We're about at 8:15. And I think we've covered it all.
Thanks so much, Debbie. That was so useful. You really went way beyond my expectations. I'm so much better educated now about the funding environment. Thanks so much. It was really amazing. There are a couple of questions on the chat that I'm going to share with you that you can help with. And anyone else, please, if you click on participants, you can use the raise your hand tool to raise your hand if you want to ask a question. That we'd love to hear your voice as well. So Debbie, the first question was, can you give me advice on how to approach a potential funder? Somebody who has experience has registered a company, but the company has previously failed and now they're wanting advice on how to approach a funder. And then let me give you the second question as well. where does one, when one does not yet have access to an accountant and you have a plan and business registered, is there someone that will be able to help with all the finer details and steps you can take to help your business take off? Maybe I think that's possibly needing a business mentor, but can you respond to those and then we'll take Nomsa's question?
Yes, sure.
Sorry.
Hi, Shireen, can you hear me? Okay. So the first question, I just want to also just stop the presentation. So stop share, then I can also look there. Yeah. So I think the question you said was, how do you approach a funder, right? So in terms of approaching the funder, what I've shared now is a lot of organizations that do provide funding. So my recommendation to you will first be identify what you need funding for. You always start off with your funding request. Okay, once you know what you need and how much you need, then we can decide which funding house to approach. So I have given you guys now a full list, and I want to really encourage you guys. You know, FinFind is almost, Shireen, I would say it's like a little gold mine, right? Like I said before, I was struggling to get everything in one and to understand where what is. But once you have your funding request, you know how much you want, then you go back into FinFind and you go and have a look and say, okay, who can help me with this kind of funding? It's always good to also do that either with an accountant, a bookkeeper, or a business mentor. These are the type of things that I do for my clients as well. I don't see Yvonne here anymore, but some of my clients that I work with, this is exactly what we do. I identified where they can apply for funding. We look at the requirements and then we started just doing our application. So that is the way that they can be approached, and looking at what is required. You know, you have that list. I showed you guys examples of some of it. Look at what is required and then, you know, produce the documentation and then we submit it.
Thanks, Debbie. Nomsa?
Yes, thank you. Debbie, thank you so much for such a wealth of information. Shireen, I think we clearly can, could use a second and a third
Yes.
talk along the same lines, because there's so much to unpack. But Debbie, one of the groups you touched on was angel investors. And I have a company that I've recently started. And one of the things I would like to do is actually to either join or help to form a community of angel investors who want to support women-owned businesses. And just wanted to find out from you if you're aware of any such networks.
Namsa, to be very honest with you, no, not yet, but it's something that's worth looking into. Because I was also quite drawn to the angel investment portion of that. But no, I'm not fully aware at the moment, but let me be honest, my knowledge on that hasn't been that broad. But I think it's an area within South Africa, and Shireen can help there, that will probably begin to grow. And there's a big opportunity then to use that, that networking as a funding option.
Thank you.
Yeah, Debbie, I don't know that much also about the angel investors. I think they exist, but possibly in batches or fragmented and so on. So Nomsa, there's possibly scope for what you want to do. And I think also particularly, for women who are looking for support, I think there would be big interest in a network like that. So I think on the sidelines, I've told you already that I'm interested to learn more about what you're thinking about that. So we could also talk about that offline. Any other questions around the funding landscape, funding opportunities? Do you have an idea and you're not sure whether it's a viable funding idea? any questions that you have for Debbie.
And ladies, just remember, there's no such thing as a stupid question, you know. Please ask. This is a very, very loving and supportive platform. So please feel free to ask, and we can support wherever we can with answers. But I think, Shireen, if I could just, yes?
Can I ask you about funding for service-based businesses? So, I mean, you as a business mentor in those different spaces, you obviously have access to, you know, the funders and what they do and so on. So what kind of, like from a service business-based perspective, is there funding for service-based businesses? And even for, you know, in the spaces where you are business partners and so on, how many of their businesses that they support are service-based businesses?
I think firstly, Shireen, there is funding available. There's lots of funding available for women. If you look at the NEF, there's the Women Empowerment Fund, and they provide funding across a range of businesses. I think the most important question for us that we must always try and understand is, what do we need the funding for? So if you need the funding, so let me give you an example, a tangible example. I'm personally looking at wanting to buy my own office premises when I do grow bigger. So that's something at the back of my mind. I already know that I could possibly go to business partners because they support acquisition of premises, especially if you buy, like, you know, like I would like to buy a house that I would like to convert into an office. So I know they provide that, but it has to be 500,000 Rand and up. So that is that kind of funding, and I know I can go to them. If you look at the NEF, for example, you know, they support women businesses consulting across a range of categories. So yes, they can support you. And then for the rest, depends on what you want to do. So, you know, you can get working capital, you know, so, and you can get also contract financing. So say, for instance, you want financing now, you got a contract and you want to hire people and you need to buy additional printers, laptops, etc. There are places that offer you that kind of funding. So the most important thing is to first identify what do you need the money for, and then see what the total is. And then we can go and start looking. As I said, CEFA and those institutions have provide funding 25,000 to 5 million Rand to small business owners. And they have a variety. They have term loans, they have working capital, they have supplier funding, you know, all of that is available. So it's about the amount that you need and what you need it for. Sorry, Shireen, you're not, can you unmute?
Yeah, sorry. So what have you, from the business mentoring that you do, what have you seen as being the biggest stumbling blocks for businesses to access funding?
I think it's more a lack of knowledge, eh? Shireen, let me be very honest with you. I think the challenge is people don't know what is available and they don't know where to go and look. That's the first thing. And then secondly, what I find with smaller companies and businesses, you know, they seem to get a bit overwhelmed with the requirements of the loan applications. And that's why I kept hammering on that, to say, guys, stay calm, don't get nervous. This is doable. It's very, very doable. It's information that is there, that is available, and we can get it. So don't feel stressed about all of the requirements that the funding houses have. I think that's just more or less some of the biggest stumbling blocks that I have seen. The rest, I'm very hopeful. We're hoping to share some good news. I've got 2 clients. We submitted funding applications personally for them, and we're very hopeful. So we'll give you guys feedback within the next month. And we've done the applications through the NEF. The NEF Executive Committee is sitting this month, but I'm very comfortable. If I look at the questions that they ask, you know, they ask basic questions, you know, it wasn't very hard. And I would have liked Yvonne to maybe share some of it. And I hope they don't mind, but you know, a question is like, okay, look at the timing of when you operated your bank account versus when transactions started coming out. But we're ready for those questions.
Okay. And before we close, is there anyone else who has a question?
I just wanted to make a comment. Just on the back of Debbie's answer on the question you were asking. I think another challenge is not knowing what type of finance you need at different stages of your business. You know, so when do you apply for a working capital facility or take out a loan versus trying to find a grant or get equity versus, you know, so I think that's, I find that there are very few support programs that sort of break that down, that an entrepreneur really can get to grips with. When is what type of funding beneficial or harmful, right? So that's another aspect, I think, that you know, requires, I think, more information and more knowledge.
Yeah, agreed, Nomsa. I also think that I was shocked about the amount of grants that are available. You know, I always thought the funding that's available, most of it is like you have to pay it back and so on. So I'm quite pleasantly surprised at the amount of grants that are available. But if I look at my own scenario as someone who owns a consulting firm, a small consulting firm and a coaching practice, I keep thinking like, I don't think anyone's going to fund me. Like, why would they want to fund me? You know, what would I need? What would they think I could benefit from with funding? So I do think like what Nomsa said is quite important. And I think as a business as well, you also have to be clear around what is your vision with your business. So where do you want to take this business? And therefore, you know, where, as you say, what would you need the money for to grow with? Because I keep thinking like, I do want to grow, but then I don't necessarily want lots of staff and lots of overheads and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But then again, you think, okay, but why would they then give me money? Because, you know, with us, particularly in South Africa, I know the employment issue is a big issue, and often there has to be job creation in accessing funding. Debbie, we have one more hand. Charmaine, please ask your question.
You need to unmute Charmaine, or can she unmute herself?
She can unmute. Hi,
Charmaine, are you okay there? You can ask.
Charmaine, we can't hear you. And we can't seem to hear Charmaine. I'm not sure what's... Charmaine, do you want to ask your question? Okay, no, I don't know. It seems there's a problem with Charmaine's sound.
Yeah, I think, Shireen, just to get back to what you and Nomsa were talking about, is maybe we can have a session one day around just understanding, you know, the financial components. Because like you guys say, not many people know what is what, you know, is this an asset financing? Is this working capital? So I think, you know, for us as accountants, it comes naturally because we do balance sheets all the time. But it will be good to just share that knowledge and, you know, let people start to identify that first. But what I normally do, I just get my clients to give me a list. Once they give me the list, then I do the categorization and I say, okay, this falls into fixed capital, this will be working capital, etc. So if you look at that NEF application form, there's a section there where they specifically ask you to break down what you need the funding for, okay? So it will help people to just get a better understanding. And we can then just do it in very simple, simplistic layman's terms so that people can know where the funding is required. And I think the important thing, Shireen, that I'd like everybody to think about is exactly what you were saying is, why would they fund me? Okay. I'd like to encourage all the entrepreneurs out there, right? You need to believe in your own business. And you mentioned it also, Shireen, when you said we need to be clear on our vision. If you have a vision for growth, don't let anything or anybody stop you from that, okay? And be confident in that vision that you have for your business, okay? And like I said, it looks like there's lots of money available at times that are not being allocated. If I look at a lot of these other clients and the funding that they are able to get and to secure. So why not you? And that's what I want everybody to know. You know, you deserve it. You meet the criteria, you deserve it. We apply. There's a full checklist. You do your checklist and you submit it. And, you know, you're definitely going to get it. And in a year's time, your story will be the motivational talk about how your business was growing and what you did in order to support your business. But we need to think possibility, and we need to think it with confidence. Because, like we said at the beginning, I am an entrepreneur.
Thanks so much, Debbie. I think we need another session about risk as well. And, you know, in fact, when you get that money, what do you do with the money, and making sure that you know, optimally use that money for what you needed it for, and being accountable for using that money and so on. So I think, you know, we should think about that, and maybe some further conversation. So ladies, if you have any thoughts on, you know, how you want us, how you would want, what you'd want to learn more about. I know Debbie shared a lot, but there may be some areas that you would want to dig deeper in and so on. Then, you know, then do let us know, and we can try and arrange another session to agree to discuss some of that. And just before we close, I wanted to ask Debbie with regards to getting a mentor. Are you going to connect us to one, or could we work with you directly? And how much does it cost to have a mentor? Okay, Charmaine, did you share your email address, and then we'll get Debbie to respond to that directly. So if you share your email with the address with us here on the chat, then we will get Debbie to respond directly to you about that. Okay, we got it. Thanks. Okay,
Yeah.
everyone, thank you very much for spending the evening with us. And I hope you've got as much value of it from as myself. Debbie, the information was really amazing, and we will share the slides with you if you've left your email address. Thank you very much again for making the time. Debbie, thank you so much for preparing for the session, and for the, you know, for the really deep dive that you've been able to do for us in this conversation. I think I'll follow up with you so we can have a couple more conversation on some of these areas, and you know, maybe get some information from women who have particular areas of interest that want to pursue funding, and maybe kind of do a case study type session where we can also look at a practical way of doing it. So thank you very much. Everyone, have a good evening, and we hope to see you soon again.
Thanks a lot to you,
Bye.
Shireen. Thanks. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.